Hey, plant lovers, is your plant dying no matter how much you water it? You might think you're doing everything right, checking the soil, giving it love and attention, but if your plant still seems to be struggling, here's the truth. Overwatering is likely the culprit. Yep, you heard that right. You might actually be loving your plant to death. Now, I know what you're thinking. How could too much water possibly hurt my plant? Isn't that what plants need to grow? It's a common misconception, and trust me, you're not alone in this. Overwatering is one of the most common mistakes plant parents make, and it's quietly ruining your plants without you even realizing it. Stick around to find out if you're unintentionally drowning your plants and what you can do to fix it. Here's the thing, plants, like humans, need to breathe. That's right, plants need oxygen just like we do, and their roots are no exception. When you overwater your plant, you're essentially suffocating its roots by preventing them from getting the oxygen they need to survive. Instead of growing strong and healthy, the roots start to rot, and that's where the problems begin. But here's the kicker. Plants are sneaky. They can't scream out, "Help, I'm drowning." They're relying on you, the plant parent, to understand their needs and give them the right care. So, while you might think you're doing the right thing by watering them regularly, you could actually be setting them up for disaster. Let me paint a picture for you. Imagine you're standing in a room and someone just keeps pouring water over you. You're gasping for air, trying to breathe, but there's no space for it. Sounds horrible, right? Well, that's exactly how your plant feels when you overwater it. Roots need space to breathe and grow. When they're constantly submerged in water, they start to suffocate. It's not just about the water, they also need air to survive. And the sad truth is that by the time you notice, it might be too late. If you're not careful, overwatering can lead to root rot, a slow and silent killer for your plants. You'll start to notice the leaves turning yellow or brown, wilting or dropping off. Your once healthy, vibrant plant starts to look like it's on its last legs, and it might be. All because of a simple mistake, giving it too much water. So why is overwatering such a problem? It all comes down to the balance plants need to thrive. They need water, yes, but not constantly, and definitely not too much. Think of it like a marathon. You can't run for miles if you're breathing in water the whole time. You need to pace yourself, and the same goes for watering. Too much water, and your plant's roots will never get the chance to rest, which is exactly what they need. So, if you've been guilty of overwatering, don't worry. You're not alone, and it's totally fixable. But you need to recognize the signs, understand the consequences, and take action before it's too late. In today's video, I'm going to show you exactly how to tell if you're overwatering your plants, what happens to their roots when you do, and how to fix the damage. By the end of this video, you'll be armed with the knowledge to become a plant care pro. No more drowning your plants in water. So, grab a cup of tea, relax, and let's dive into the world of plant care. Because every plant deserves to thrive, and I'm here to help you make that happen. Ready to save your plants? Let's go! So, what exactly happens when you overwater your plant? To understand this, we need to talk about your plant's roots. Think of your roots as the heart of the plant. Just like how your heart pumps blood to keep your body functioning, the roots are responsible for delivering water, nutrients, and oxygen to the rest of the plant. But here's the catch. Just like how you need oxygen to breathe, roots need oxygen too. And when you overwater, you take away that oxygen. Instead of helping your plant, you're slowly suffocating it. Imagine this, you're at a party and everyone's crowding the room. No one can move and it's hard to breathe. That's what happens to your plant's roots when they're constantly submerged in water. Overwatering fills the soil with water, and the tiny air pockets that should be there to allow the roots to breathe get replaced with more and more moisture. The roots become oxygen-starved, and they begin to rot. Now you might think, okay, roots are getting a little wet, so what? Well, here's the thing, root rot isn't just a slight inconvenience. It's the beginning of a downward spiral for your plant. Root rot is a bacterial infection that takes hold when the roots are deprived of oxygen for extended periods. When roots start to rot, they can't do their job anymore. They can't absorb water and nutrients, which are vital for your plant's health. Without them, your plant begins to wither. And when you start noticing those early signs, yellowing leaves, wilting, or a general lack of vitality, it's often too late. By the time these symptoms show up, the damage to the roots has already been done, and recovery can take a long time, if it happens at all. In the worst cases, the plant might die. And what's even more frustrating? You might have been watering your plant with the best of intentions, believing it was thirsty, when in reality, it was being suffocated. But overwatering doesn't only affect the roots, it affects the entire plant's health. If the roots are struggling, the rest of the plant can't get the nutrients it needs, which leads to stunted growth and weak stems. Essentially, your plant's ability to thrive is drastically reduced, and it starts looking more and more like it's in distress. This means the leaves may start turning yellow or brown, and even worse, they may fall off prematurely. You're left with a plant that looks unhealthy, and you're probably still watering it, thinking it's just thirsty for more water. The problem is that overwatering doesn't just happen overnight, it's a gradual process. It can be easy to overlook the warning signs at first, especially if you're a new plant parent. The soil might feel damp, but you might not realize that it's staying wet for too long. And while some plants love humidity and moisture, others need to dry out between waterings. If you're watering too often, you're preventing the plant from doing what it naturally does: rest, breathe, and grow. So, why does this happen? Well, it's mainly due to the environment your plant is in. Most plants have evolved to survive in certain conditions. Some thrive in moist, tropical environments, while others come from drier climates where rainfall is scarce. If you overwater a plant that's native to a drier climate, you're giving it conditions it's not designed to handle. You're essentially forcing it into a habitat that doesn't match its natural needs, and that's when things start to go wrong. The bottom line is this: your plant's roots are delicate. They need just the right amount of water to stay healthy, and when you overwater, you're pushing them beyond their limit. Overwatering doesn't just make your plant wet, it disrupts its entire biological system. The roots, which are essential for absorbing nutrients and supporting growth, get weakened, and your plant becomes vulnerable to all sorts of problems, including fungal infections, mold, and pests. So next time you water your plant, remember, it's not about the quantity of water, but the quality of care you provide. If you don't want to ruin those beautiful roots, it's crucial to understand the balance between water and oxygen. By giving your plants the right care and understanding what overwatering can do, you'll keep them strong, healthy, and thriving for years to come. So, now that we've talked about the science behind overwatering, you might be thinking, how do I even know if I'm overwatering my plant? Well, don't worry, there are some clear signs you can watch out for that will tell you if you're giving your plant a little too much love. Let's dive into the most obvious symptoms of overwatering and how to spot them before it's too late. First up, yellowing leaves. This is one of the most common signs that you're overwatering. If you notice your plant's leaves turning yellow, especially around the edges or veins, it's time to reassess your watering routine. Yellowing happens because the roots are getting too much water, causing them to rot, and as a result, the plant's ability to absorb nutrients and oxygen is compromised. The yellowing starts at the bottom of the plant and works its way up, so keep an eye out for this sign before it spreads further. Next, let's talk about wilting. It might seem strange, right? How can my plant be wilting if I'm watering it too much? Here's the thing. Wilting can happen for a couple of reasons. While plants can wilt from lack of water, they can also wilt when the roots are too damaged from overwatering. When roots start to rot, they can no longer take in water properly, so the plant can't stay hydrated, even though there's plenty of water in the soil. The leaves might droop, curl, or feel soft to the touch. If your plant is wilting and the soil is wet, that's a big red flag. Another major sign of overwatering is a soggy, waterlogged soil. If you're constantly finding your soil moist, even after you've let it sit for a while, you might be watering too frequently or too much at once. Soil should be well draining, and it should have a good mix of air and moisture. If it feels slimy or overly wet, you're probably giving your plant more water than it needs. Check the top layer of the soil. If it's damp or soggy, your plant isn't getting the balance it needs to thrive. But it's not just about how the soil feels, it's also about what's happening underneath. If you notice a foul smell coming from the soil or around your plant's base, that's a clear indication of root rot. The roots, which are sitting in water for too long, start to decompose, and that causes a musty, rotten smell. If you pull your plant out of the pot and the roots are mushy, dark, or even blackened, it's likely that root rot has set in. At this point, you'll need to act fast to save your plant. You might also notice the roots turning brown or black and becoming mushy. Healthy roots are typically white or light tan and firm to the touch. If you see dark, slimy, or mushy roots, they've been damaged by the excess moisture, and the rot has begun to spread. This is often the result of consistently overwatering and poor drainage, which trap water around the roots and suffocate them. If this happens, you'll need to trim away the damaged roots and repot the plant in fresh, well-draining soil. Lastly, check for mold or fungus growing on the surface of the soil or around the base of the plant. Mold thrives in moist environments, and if the soil stays wet for too long, mold can form. It appears as fuzzy white, gray, or even black patches on the soil surface. This is a clear sign that your plant's environment is too damp, and you'll need to address the overwatering issue immediately. Mold can cause further harm to your plant, and it's essential to take action before it spreads. So, now you know how to spot the signs of overwatering. Yellowing leaves, wilting, soggy soil, foul smells, mushy roots, and mold are all clues that your plant might be getting too much water. But here's the thing. Just because you see one or two of these symptoms doesn't mean it's game over for your plant. Early detection is key. If you catch these signs early enough, you can adjust your watering routine, improve drainage, and save your plant before it's too late. Remember, different plants have different water needs. Some like it drier between waterings, while others prefer consistent moisture. So always do a little research on your specific plant's needs and adjust accordingly. By keeping an eye on your plant's health and staying mindful of these warning signs, you can avoid overwatering and keep your greenery happy and thriving. Okay, so we've covered all the signs that show you might be overwatering your plants, but now let's dive into how to water your plants properly, ensuring they get just the right amount of moisture without suffocating them. Trust me, getting this right can make all the difference in how your plants grow and thrive. So let's talk about the right way to water. The first rule of thumb is simple. Only water when the top inch of soil is dry. This might seem like a no-brainer, but many plant parents make the mistake of watering on a set schedule, every 2 days for example, when plants don't always need that much water. By sticking your finger into the soil, you can tell if it's still moist or if it's time to water. If the soil feels damp, hold off. Your plant is still good. If it feels dry, it's time to give it a drink. Next up, don't just sprinkle a little water on the top of the soil. Water deeply and slowly. The goal is to ensure the water reaches the plant's roots, not just the surface. When you water, do it slowly so the moisture has time to soak into the soil. This allows the roots to absorb the water properly. If you just pour water on top and let it run through quickly, the water will mostly stay at the top of the soil, and the roots won't get enough. Deep watering encourages your plant to grow strong roots that reach down into the soil, helping it become more resilient. Use well-draining soil. This is a game changer for many plants, especially those that don't like to sit in soggy conditions. Well-draining soil allows the water to pass through easily while still retaining enough moisture for the plant to absorb. It also ensures that excess water can escape, preventing the roots from drowning. You can also consider adding perlite or sand to your soil mix to improve drainage, especially for plants that require excellent drainage like succulents and cacti. Another important factor to consider is your plant's container. If your pot doesn't have drainage holes, water can get trapped at the bottom, creating a waterlogged environment that will suffocate the roots. Always make sure your pots have drainage holes. If your plant's pot doesn't have holes, you can try placing your plant in a different container or drill some holes yourself. Just be careful not to crack the pot. Drainage holes allow excess water to escape, ensuring the roots get the right balance of moisture and air. Water less frequently in winter. Many plants enter a dormant period during the colder months, meaning they require less water. If you continue watering as often as you did in the warmer months, your plant could end up sitting in damp soil for longer than it's comfortable with. During winter, most plants don't grow as quickly, so they don't use as much water. Be sure to adjust your watering routine accordingly, check the soil moisture more frequently, and don't be afraid to skip watering if it's still damp. Here's another quick tip. Water early in the day. The best time to water your plants is early in the morning. This allows any excess moisture on the leaves to evaporate by the time the sun comes up, preventing mold or fungal growth. Watering in the evening, on the other hand, can leave your plants sitting in water overnight, which promotes rot. Morning watering ensures your plants stay hydrated, but the moisture doesn't linger for too long, keeping them happy and healthy. You also want to avoid watering your plants too much at once. Break it up. If you're watering a large plant, it's better to water in stages, allowing the soil to absorb the water gradually. Pour a little water, wait for the soil to absorb it, then pour a bit more. This technique helps the water penetrate deep into the soil and reach the roots without overwhelming the plant. Another thing to consider is the type of plant you have. Different plants have different water needs, and understanding those needs is key to watering correctly. For instance, some plants like succulents and cacti prefer to dry out completely between waterings, while tropical plants like ferns might enjoy consistently moist soil. By researching your specific plant species, you can tailor your watering schedule to suit its natural environment and ensure it gets exactly what it needs. The takeaway here is to find the right balance. Plants, like people, need moderation. Overwatering can lead to root rot, while underwatering can cause dehydration and stress. The secret is to listen to your plant and watch for signs. Each plant has its own needs, and the more you pay attention, the better you'll get at finding that perfect watering routine. Watering may seem like a simple task, but it's one of the most important things you can do to ensure your plant